I'm a strong believer in the fact that hip-hop has been evolving for the better ever since it was first made. The 90s were better than the 80s, the 2000s were better than the 90s, the 2010s were better than the 2000s, and I think the 2020s will be better than the 2010s. So since we just finished the best decade for hip-hop yet, the 2010s, here's the best album from every year of the last decade. I know some people count the start of the decade at 2010 and other people count it at 2011, but just to make everyone happy, I will be including both 2010 and 2020. Debate in the comments of when you think the decade starts. Personally, I do not care. But at 2010, I'm gonna have to go with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Predictable pick, I know, but it totally deserves the spot. I've talked about this album a ton in the past, so I won't go too into detail, but you guys know why it's here. Some of Kanye's best writing ever, insane production, consistent features, great theme, it's just a masterpiece. Top 3 songs are Power, Gorgeous, and Runaway, and it is a 9 out of 10. Now, because there's so many good albums, I decided each year is gonna get a runner-up, which I'll just briefly go over. So for 2010, I'm giving the runners-up spot to Death is Silent by No of the Cunning Linguist. A lot of you might know the Cunning Linguist from their album A Piece of Strange, but No is just one of the members who went on to create some solo work, and this is honestly a great project, very overlooked. Now for 2011, this was very close between 2 mixtapes, but in the end, I decided to go with Ex-Military by Death Grips. Ex-Military was the project that made Death Grips blow up, and for good reason. The raw production mixed with Ride's aggressive vocals make this album a unique listening experience that gets better every time. It is one of the main benchmarks for industrial hip-hop, completely revolutionizing the genre and starting one of the best music discographies of all time. My top 3 songs are Beware, Tachyon, and Clink. Also a 9 out of 10. By the way, most of the albums on this list are going to be 9s or 10s. It's just the way it worked out because I'm taking the best from each year, but yeah. The runner-up for 2011 is Live Love ASAP. This honestly could have won. Another great mixtape, similar to Ex-Military in the way that it revolutionized / birthed a whole new genre, but this time with cloud rap instead of industrial hip-hop. It is also a 9 out of 10. Alright, now coming in for 2012, I got Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. This is the best storytelling album hands down with amazing lyricism from Kendrick. I was so interested in the story of this album that I literally made an entire video breaking down the concept of the album on TikTok. But basically, this album takes you through the life of an innocent kid living on the streets of Compton, trying to stay pure in an environment full of bad influences, being a good kid in a mad city. The lyricism on this album is some of the best I've ever heard, and the production is pretty great too. Especially on Good Kid, that song is so underrated. My top 3 songs are Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, and Sing About Me I'm Dying of Thirst, and it is also a 9 out of 10. And at the time of filming this video, it is actually my highest 9, very close to a 10. And the runner-up for 2012 is actually pretty close to Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. It's The Money Store by Death Grips. I'm sure a lot of you know this album because it got the Fantano 10, which was very well deserved. It built off of what Death Grips already created in Ex-Military and took the production in a completely different style, and it worked out very well. 9 out of 10. Now coming in for 2013, I got another Kanye West album, this time Yeezus. This was Kanye's first venture into industrial hip-hop, and he did an amazing job. The production is definitely this album's strongest point, with some of the most creative sampling I've ever heard. I'm In It literally sampled the Chain Chomp from Mario. This album also got a lot of Kanye fans into industrial hip-hop, myself included, which I'm forever grateful for. My top 3 songs are On Sight, Blood on the Leaves, and Hold My Liquor. That guitar solo in Hold My Liquor is like one of my favorite parts in any song ever. 9 out of 10. And the runner-up for 2013 is Almighty So by Chief Keef. After finally rich and back from the dead, Chief Keef decides to take his next album in a completely different direction with the production, creating this polarizing album that got mixed reviews from everyone. Personally, I love it, and there's actually a very deep concept that runs throughout the album if you actually analyze the lyrics. 9 out of 10. Next for 2014, I'm sure a lot of people are expecting a certain J. Cole album, but I got Monster by Future. Honestly, this is Future's best project ever, over DS2, over The Wizard, over What a Time to Be Alive, over everything. The mixtape starts off with Radical, opening it up with one of Future's best flows and setting the stage for a deep dive into Future's drug addiction and relationship problems with Ciara. Throughout the whole project, this topic is discussed and ends on Coding Crazy, one of the greatest and most emotional songs ever made. The beats are also great with production from Metro Boomin, Southside, and more. My top 3 songs are Radical, Throwaway, and Coding Crazy, and this gets another 9 out of 10. The runner-up for 2014 is Glue by m.A.A.d. Honestly, Monster and Glue are very close. I could probably see it going either way. I just think Monster wins by a tiny bit. This was m.A.A.d's first project, and I also think it's his best, but my opinion for m.A.A.d's best changes like every couple months, so don't take that too seriously. But yeah, this album is great. White Armor on the production, making some fire beats as always. m.A.A.d coming in with that insane auto-tune vocal layering, and great features from Bones, Tyboy, and Echo. 9 out of 10. I honestly think 2015 might be the best year for hip-hop to date, with so many good albums dropping, but out of all the albums that dropped, To Pimp a Butterfly is the best. After Good Kid, M.A.A.d City talked about Kendrick's experience in Compton, To Pimp a Butterfly continued this concept talking about the black experience in America. The result is the greatest album I've ever heard, with amazing jazz rap production, intricate lyricism from Kendrick, an amazing concept, and an outro that left me speechless. Every time I listen to this album, I find something new in the lyrics. My top 3 songs are Mortal Man, The Blacker the Berry, and You, and it is a 10 out of 10 album. The runner-up for 2015 is honestly on par with To Pimp a Butterfly. I could probably see it going either way, but for now, it is the second best hip-hop album of all time, The Powers That Be by Death Grips. This is also a 10 out of 10, and another reason why 2015 is one of the best years for music ever. 2016 was also a great year for music, and the best hip-hop album to come out of it was Atrocity Exhibition. This album takes the listener through the mind of a mentally unstable person, tackling subjects like drug abuse, alcoholism, depression, and more. Danny Brown's voice fits the theme of this album perfectly, but it does take some getting used to, so I'd probably recommend listening to XXX before this. Atrocity Exhibition also has Ain't It Funny, which is like a top 5 hip-hop song of all time and one of the best music videos I've ever watched. My top 3 songs are Really Dough, Lost, and Ain't It Funny. 9 out of 10. The runner-up for 2016 is Blade's Ever Since. It literally just takes the feeling of being alone or isolated in the winter and puts it into an album. If you've listened to it, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I probably sound like an idiot right now. 9 out of 10. For 2017, this is actually the first EP on the list. I got Steroids by Death Grips. I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about this project. Throughout the whole 22-minute runtime, it keeps you entertained with creative production and those classic MC Ride vocals. My favorite part is near the end where they sampled a literal train to transition into the beat drop. It's genius. 9 out of 10. And the runner-up is Thot Breaker by Chief Keef. I could actually see this as Keef's best project. I just have Almighty So over it by a little bit. But it's a great album. It takes elements of pop and drill and mixes it together, and somehow it works. It's great. 9 out of 10. Now for 2018, a lot of people consider this to be the best year for hip-hop. Personally, I think 2015 is a little bit better, but the best album of 2018 is easily Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt. I talked about this album a bit in my top 15 hip-hop acts video, so you guys know why I love it. The production is perfect, the lyrics are amazing, everything about it is just great. Earl Sweatshirt is a musical genius, and this is just proof of that. My top 3 songs are The Mint, Peanut, and Azucar. 10 out of 10. And the runner-up for 2018, I actually have written on the script here Peggy's best album, but I think LP is better now, but I got Veteran. The aggressive, powerful lyricism and unique production make this album super memorable, and it's my second favorite album from JPEG Mafia. 9 out of 10. Now 2019 was probably the weakest year out of the decade for music, but its peaks were still pretty good. The best album of the year was All My Heroes Are Cornballs by JPEG Mafia. This is Peggy's best vocal performance with a lot more singing than usual, which actually really fits the more low-key beats. Definitely not as good as Veteran, but it's still a very solid album. My top 3 songs are Thought Tactics, Jeez Forgive Me I'm a Thought, and Free the Frail. This is the list's first 8 out of 10. And I'm gonna have to give the runner-up for 2018 to Stars by Young Lean. Great album with some of Young Lean's best songs, but I really wish that Cardi's label let his feature stay on Yayo. 8 out of 10. Speaking of Cardi, the best album of 2020 by far was Whole Lotta Red. This is the best trap album of all time. Insane vocals from Cardi, especially on songs like Stop Breathing and Teen X. Hype production, which literally sounds like it was made to be performed live, especially on songs like On That Time. And a consistent vampire theme that is present throughout the whole over an hour long album without feeling drawn out or getting boring. The top 3 songs are Rockstar M.A.A.d, On That Time, and Stop Breathing. This is a 9 out of 10 and a top 10 hip-hop album of all time. I honestly couldn't choose one runner-up for 2020, so here's 4. Circles, Alfredo, Run the Jewels 4, and 100 Acre Wrist. These are all 8 out of 10s, and I just couldn't decide which is the best. Now that we're almost done the first year of the 2020s, unless you count 2020 as the start, let me know in the comments if you think this decade will be better than the last and why. Personally, I think it will. We're only 1 year into this decade, and we already have amazing albums from Tyler, Kanye, JPEG Mafia, M.A.A.d, The Alchemist, so many more. And we still have a bunch of albums supposed to drop by the end of the year from artists like Travis Scott, A$AP Rocky, Kendrick Lamar, Earl Sweatshirt, Playboy Cardi, Young Lean, and many more that I'm probably forgetting. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will see you guys next week. If you're new, subscribe, and thank you for watching.